Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and gives this video a thumbs up. Joan Vassos and Chock Chapel, the Golden Bachelorette couple, plan to find a place in New York City together after becoming engaged on the show, and they've shared an update on their plans. During the first season of The Golden Bachelorette, Chock proposed that he and Joan find a home in New York City, despite the fact that they still lived in Wichita, Kansas and Rockville, Maryland. Since the play finished, Joan and Chock have been looking for a place in New York City where they can go to be alone. In an interview with Swan, Joan and Chock confessed that, while their desire is absolutely to live together in their permanent home, the New York City transfer has yet to take place because the transition has been more difficult than they anticipated. Joan was honest, logistically, this is a little bit harder than we expected it to be. However, Joan stated that it is still the plan for them to locate a location in New York City where she and Chock can meet and spend time together. She replied, "Visiting each other's homes is good, but it's not as enjoyable. We wanted to hold our meeting somewhere where we could have a different existence, perhaps away from our family for a bit." Joan and Chock intend to rent rather than buy a home, but it has been difficult for them to sign a lease because properties are taken off the market rapidly. They are also unsure of where they want to live in the city. Chock added, "Every time we travel to the city, we stay in a different area, and they're all quite good. What is the perfect fit? We just don't know yet. That's why we wanted to rent. You don't have to make a full-time commitment. We stayed in Midtown South this week, and I thoroughly enjoyed it." Joan agreed, admitting that she was more close-minded about their New York City location at first because she adores Soho. She stated, "I love Soho, that kind of location. Greenwich Village. But when I remained in various areas, I became more comfortable. I believe it was primarily a matter of comfort. Because I'd been there enough times, I knew my favorite pizza spot and where to get coffee, but as we spend time in other areas, they're becoming more comfortable, so I'm becoming a little more open-minded, which should make our search simpler. Every time we visit the city, we stay in a new place, and they're all really pleasant. What is the perfect fit? We just don't know yet. That's why we wanted to rent. You don't have to make a full-time commitment. We stayed in Midtown South this week, and I thoroughly enjoyed it." Although some people believe that Joan and Chock's long-distance relationship is a warning flag, their deliberate and slow-paced relationship indicates that it could survive forever. They are not making hasty decisions, such as moving in together in New York City or getting married. In fact, Joan has stated that they are not in a haste to walk down the aisle, but rather are spending time getting to know each other in the real world first. Joan and Chock appear to be thoroughly enjoying their new life together. They are wise to wait until they find the ideal location in New York City that meets their needs and makes them feel at ease. It will be excellent for them to have a New York City trip while still preserving their properties in Maryland and Wichita. Joan made it plain before production began on The Golden Bachelorette that she would never abandon her family, so this New York City apartment is an ideal compromise for her and Chock. They can preserve their native residences while still having an interesting place to visit together in New York City. I believe it's fantastic that they haven't settled for a place they don't want just so they can move in together, but rather are waiting for their dream home. I admire Joan and Chock's confidence in their relationship to withstand long-distance travel without incident. This demonstrates that their Golden Bachelorette connection was intended to stay. Joan and Chock, unlike other Bachelor Nation couples, think with their heads as well as their hearts, and I believe that this will ensure the longevity of their relationship. When The Golden Bachelorette premiered, fans were introduced to a softer, more seasoned take on love, one grounded in experience, loss, wisdom, and hope. By the end of the show's historic first season, viewers had become deeply invested in Joan Vassos and Chock Chapel, two golden-hearted individuals who had found each other later in life and seemed to connect on a level that was both emotionally profound and refreshingly practical. Their engagement, which occurred in the romantic closing moments of the season finale, wasn't just a TV moment, it was a promise to keep growing together, one step at a time. After the camera stopped rolling, many fans expected Joan and Chock to rush into the next stages of their lives together, perhaps moving in or even planning a wedding date. But true to the level-headed and thoughtful approach that won over so many fans, Joan and Chock did not follow the conventional trajectory that other Bachelor Nation couples often embrace. Instead, they took a pause. They didn't run off to plan a destination wedding or schedule joint brand endorsements. Instead, they turned toward each other and began exploring what a life together might realistically look like, especially when that life includes grown children, deeply rooted communities, and independent routines in two very different cities. Chock, a retired high school principal from Wichita, Kansas, and Joan, a widowed school administrator from Rockville, Maryland, had to come face to face with the logistical challenges that come with later-in-life relationships. They each had homes, responsibilities, and most of all, emotional ties to the places they called home. Still, they wanted something that was just theirs, a place to retreat to discover each other in new ways, away from their old lives and without the shadow of their pasts. During the Golden Bachelorette, Chock had floated the idea of finding a shared place in New York City, a thrilling midpoint of sorts, full of life, culture, and anonymity. For Joan, who had often spoken about the importance of family and the central role her children and grandchildren play in her life, New York offered the kind of neutral ground that didn't require her to choose between romance and her roots. It wasn't a permanent relocation or a farewell to Rockville. Instead, it was a chance to create something fresh with Chock. In a recent interview with Swan, the couple gave an honest and heartfelt update on their plans. Their dream of securing a shared New York City residence is still alive, but they admitted it has been much more complicated than they anticipated. Logistically, this is a little bit harder than we expected it to be, Joan confessed. It wasn't just about signing a lease, it was about navigating real estate in one of the world's busiest housing markets while also honoring their separate commitments. Joan and Chock explained that they intend to rent rather than buy, both to maintain flexibility and to avoid locking themselves into a decision that might not be right in the long term. But even renting in New York City comes with its own unique frustrations. Apartments disappear almost as soon as they're listed. Prices fluctuate wildly from neighborhood to neighborhood. And while the city offers nearly endless options, the paradox of choice can be overwhelming. We stay in a different part of the city every time we visit, Chock said, chuckling. And honestly, they're all really nice. We just don't know what the perfect fit is yet. He paused before adding, that's the whole reason we wanted to rent instead of buy. You don't have to make a full-time commitment. We stayed in Midtown South this week, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. If you likes this